Welcome. I got a confession to make. I got called out in my last video, and rightfully so, right? And I deleted the video because it's not the kind of stuff I want to put out on my channel. And before I deleted it, after I deleted it, I realized I forgot to give credit to the person that made the comment, and I want to thank him. So hopefully he watches this and comments again to let me know that he's watching, right? So I made a video this morning about something that struck me really hard last night, and I'm sorry if you watched that 5 or 8 minute video. We're gonna talk about it again, but what it was like the 80%, and is that an acceptable number for what you want in your business? And this is like a multi-layer thing that I'm kind of going to touch on, and it'll kind of circle back around and make all sense, right? So during this week's ASOC Mastermind meeting, we had a guest speaker from Shop Fix Academy. He's a coach. His shop he has 2 shops, and they're only about an hour away from me. So he invited me to come up and hang out and see how he does things. But a lot of places talk bad about Shop Fix. It's not exactly what I like when, how they like to operate on certain things. No, I'm not saying it's immoral, nothing like that. It's just there's a lot of it is really like money focused, right? Money is important. We all need it. It's the purpose of being in business, right? But one thing that he struck me with and was that if you were doing the same thing you're doing now, but you were doing it at 80% of what you're doing to have complete freedom to do something else, would you do it? And he said, absolutely, he would. And that's hard for me, right? That's probably why I'm having a hard time hiring and why I'm having a hard time with running the business and that kind of stuff, micromanaging in the past. Because the 20% that's left on the table for me that's 20% of letdowns, of comebacks, of lost revenue, of course, customer experience. And that's not what I want, right? I am not solely driven by money. Obviously we need it, but it's not like the driving force of what we're trying to do. And so then it got me thinking. Last night, I had a conversation with a guy I used to work with that I didn't care for in the Army. And the reason why this video was put up earlier and taken down is because I got called out for talking really bad about somebody. And from another perspective, his perspective, he's 100% right. And that's not the kind of stuff that I want to put out. So yes, I didn't care for this guy. And we'll just leave it at that. But we were deployed on top of a mountain in Turkey. And the backstory is we were working 24-hour shifts. It's, I don't know, late at night. We worked from, I think, 6 to 6, I believe, something like that. And we ended up we had a mission where we had to bury cable. Sorry, let me get the sun. We had to bury cable between generators, right? So we have 4 big power stations, and we have them parallel together to power a radar site, and it gets snow by the feet. And we had to have metal steps going across the cables, and it's icy and it's dangerous. So it was my idea to actually basically kind of bury these things, these cables, so we're not stepping over these ice covered metal steps, right? So we came up with a game plan. We did it. It wasn't like our idea. We did it one day. It's like, this is what we're doing. So we started to do that. Me and one other guy worked on it all night, and we were really proud. We did a freaking banger of a job, right? And was off the next day. So I saw him outside hanging out with our two bosses. This guy that I don't care for, he was kind of like the guy that was in charge of the power plant. He was kind of appointed to it. It was a +1, so it really wasn't his job, but because he had the authority that was given to him from direction, that was his job at that point. And I was really proud of what the two of us did, me and a young guy. And I said, hey, what'd you think of what we did? And he said, well, I had to go back and redo most of it. And that it killed me. Working 12 hours, I think it was 12, maybe it would have been 8-hour shifts, working all night, in the snow, everywhere, snow everywhere. And I'm like, I told him, I said, you're never going to be happy. And I said some derogatory stuff to him in front of the two bosses, and I didn't care. And he's like, dude, you're impossible to please. We worked really hard on that stuff, and I don't know where the deficiencies were. In my opinion, there weren't any, but they weren't up to his standard. And towards the end of the deployment, I reached out to all of my subordinates, and I want to know how I'm doing as a leader, how I can improve, that kind of stuff, because the people underneath me deserve it. And he didn't ask me. I wasn't his subordinate, but he didn't ask me, but I felt it was my duty to tell him that he is, screwing stuff up. And he recently was, he got accepted into warrant officer school, so he's going to be an officer, right? And it's really important that he understands how much influence he has on his team, because he's going to be in charge of people, right? And I owe it to the other people in the Army that are working underneath him that if we can improve him as a leader and how he talks to people, then we're making improvements, right? So at the end of the mission, I sent him an email, and I just told him, I'm like, look, dude, the way you handle yourself and the way you talk, the way that you interact with your subordinates, like disrespectful and everything else, and the way that you demand perfection on everything, it comes at an enormous loss of morale for the team and the respect for you. Now, I thought that it was the 80%, but it wasn't. I think what I told him was, if the job is done to 90 or 95% satisfaction, that last 5 to 10% of what you're wanting for something that's non-mission critical comes at a huge expense for the respect that your team has for you. And the morale will drop, production drops, and people don't want to be around you. And the revelation I had was, as much as I can't stand this guy, I was turning into him, right? And the 80% that we talked about on Monday at the meeting kind of came down to, if you can get comfortable with the 80%, I'm not saying that you're letting 20% garbage go out, right? But just kind of get it through another perspective that with growth, you are going to have to do certain things. Just like how I talked before about moving yourself out of your comfort zone is what you need for growth. And I have a problem with that, right? I can't, I want perfection in my shop, and I strive to have the best shop. And that's what the video was this morning. So if you went through that again, thanks for that. But the reason it was squashed and deleted was because I was being too hard on somebody on the internet. I keep it real, but again, the idea of this channel is trying to stay positive. And the person that commented, thank you, you're 100% right, and that's why it's gone. So that is where we're at with that one. We had a bunch of work come out of this shop today. We were just annihilating it. Boom, 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 knocking them out. Getting work sold, knocking them out. Cars diagged, repaired, and picked up same day. That's rare in my shop. But we were able to do it, man. And it felt good. My new guy, he's just crushing it, man. He's learning so much, dude. I'm just so happy. My senior tech I have right now, he's doing really well. He just put his earbuds in, knocks out work. And we went a little bit different where he started on some repairs in the morning, and we don't do that, okay? We do Diags in the morning, repairs in the afternoon. But we're getting towards the end of the week. And, I told my new guy, I said, look, this is what we're doing. Understand that we're not doing what we're supposed to be, right? And I told him about like winning the battle and losing the war. Getting the work knocked out in the morning, you're going to win the battle. Yeah, it's done. But the problem is when you keep doing that, your Diag work will not be sold early enough to get parts the same day. The decisions that people make start being no instead of yes as the day gets longer. They just want to be done making decisions. So it's really important that we get that stuff done in the morning, okay? So we kind of went through that a little bit and, taught him some of those things. And that was awesome. So tomorrow, this is what we're working on. My guy is coming in tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and we're going to get this axle out. A little update on this. Customer came in today unannounced, and I showed him the truck. His tools came in yesterday, so we can do these axle bearings. And I am so grateful that this guy owns this truck because he is super chill. He's in a loaner car, so he has transportation, but still, it's his truck. We had it for 3 weeks now, at least, I think. I think it's over 3 weeks. And I showed him like what this entire thing has become. Both axle housings, all the axles sitting here, and then we're moving forward. And I showed him like why we had to change the axle, why we're putting the old one back in. So all that stuff's done. But these are the tools that we got for the Toyota axle bearings. I haven't unstrapped them yet, but we paid for the whole kit so that way I can just do any Toyota axles that come back into the shop. Might as well start advertising for it if we're going to start doing it. I used to sublet them out to my machine shop. The last set of axles I gave him are for a Mitsubishi Mighty Max. Yeah, we don't work on old stuff. Okay. We fixed an AC problem, saw that the rear axle's leaking, tried to replace the seal, and dude, let me tell you, we could not get that stuff fixed right. It kept on chewing up bearings. We took it apart, had to replace the seal, and it just kept on annihilating the bearings. And I'm like, dude, there's a seal inside the axle tube that looks like it's blocking oil to the oil bath bearing. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense, man. But that's how it is. And it's look at this part schematic. And then I relied on the machine shop to press them together right. There's a whole procedure and pressures you have to do it in to get them knocked out right. And I don't want to deal with that anymore. I hate doing sublets for that reason. So that was kind of neat to be able to show him that. Back up a little. So that was kind of neat to show him that. And he's like totally chill. So the plan is to do that tomorrow, but with this stupid thing, we have to get it done because I'm not going to be able to come in on Saturday and play hero to get stuff knocked out. So we only have 2 cars on the schedule tomorrow, a pre-travel inspection for an awesome customer and a check engine light on a Nissan Pathfinder. And I moved it today because he parked it out next to the road. I moved it today and it's got every light on the dash. So who knows what we're getting to on this one. So we'll find out. So the goal tomorrow is to get those 2 cars finished. I have parts coming in for 2 other cars that we should be able to get knocked out. Right now we're sitting at about 17,000 in sales for the week. If we get this axle done tomorrow and the other cars that are here, we'll probably be at about 25,000 for the week, which is pretty good. Not great because last week we only finished out at like $7,500. I mean, we were like $4,000 in the hole in revenue, right? It was awful. And so anyway, we got that stuff done. Hopefully we'll get that everything out of here is the plan. So let's talk about the Ford Fusion. That guy picked up today. He used WiseTac to pay for it. And I showed him the parts that we replaced, and he's like, "Do you think the mobile mechanic did it?" I said, "Look, dude, I don't know for sure whether or not he did it or not. But I'm telling you, the parts that I replaced were the parts that he put on it for the crank sensor. And the reluctor was bent in here. So I'm like, and it was out of time. It was running before you brought it to him for a timing belt. So take that for what it is." And so I kind of explained why the bill was the way it is. And, you know, I'm like, I didn't want to call you back because I know your wife was kind of like freaking out, didn't understand like what we were doing and how we were doing it. And the reason I told him, I said, the reason why your bill is what it is that I didn't get the parts pre-approved before I put them on the invoice. And I explained to him, I said, that's illegal in North Carolina, right? In North Carolina, we have the thing called a Repair Act, and you can only charge 10% more than what the estimate is. So if you give a guy $1,000 estimate, you can only charge $1,100 without authorization. You know, these parts were $400, right? And like my cost, I think. And I can't just throw them on the ticket. Full Matrix would have put them like way over what retail is on the counter, which is normal, right? But and we also had more time in it, probably from together, apart, together, apart, together, apart, together. And it's like, okay, we probably have an extra 2 or 3 hours of time in here. So I told him, I said, your bill should probably be about $700 more than what it is. And he was really thankful. And then he said, man, I thought it was going to be like $4,000 when it was all said and done. I said, well, I'll take the extra $700 because, I mean, we did the work, right? And of course he didn't pay it, right? But he was like, man, I got to talk to you because he said you don't want to work on my car anymore. And, you know, that's kind of a problem. I said, dude, it's not you, okay? And it's not the car. It's the entire situation of what is going down. I'm like, I think you have a secondary problem. And we spoke about that. He said, oh, yeah, it was doing that before. I said, there you go. And I'm concerned because it was low on coolant after you guys did a water pump on it. And there was water sitting on top of the engine block underneath the water pump. Now, we saw that. We pressure tested the cooling system, didn't see anything leaking. So I'm like, if it needs a water pump because he didn't do something right, then you're going to end up paying 4 times for the same job. The water pump was done first. The timing belt was done after the water pump, you know, like a couple days later. Paid us to fix it. And if it's leaking from the water pump again, it's all going to have to be done again. So I'm like, it's crazy. And it's a nasty situation. I don't want to be a part of it, right? So that's why I said I don't want to work on this car anymore. So yeah, that's kind of what we got. So this video is kind of short. I think I have enough time to kind of show you my tools, right? So I asked for some ideas on some tools that I have in the shop. Now my shop's kind of a mess right now, but as what's that guy's name from A Current Affair that had his own show on Fox News? Like, F it, we'll do it live. That's what we'll do. All right. So let me show you my Diag cart. This Diag cart here, it's not organized the way that I want it to be, right? I do have a monitor, a TV/monitor. It's a smart TV. I usually just use it for YouTube for the most part and listen to music all day. This stuff is not put away the way it's supposed to. I do have a sniffer back here. This is an Initech, I think. This thing started getting on the fritz, man. Elitech. It started hitting hits for no reason. So the sniffer inside it's bad or something like that, right? So I do have to replace that. Thomas Leck and those guys over at HVAC Automotive Technician Group on Facebook, they got these other ones that they're using, and those things are like $1,000. I'm like, yeah, man, I would love to be able to do that when I can, but I have more important things to spend money on. Okay, oh, look at that. We already got problems. Gee whiz, dude. I fixed it. Stuff doesn't even belong in there anyway. All right, so this is what I got. Back probing leads, alligator clips, some test leads, piercers, regular probes, some clampy johns, some very minor stuff. Some of these actually clip on, I believe. That one doesn't, just pointy. This is a 5-volt reference box. We use that for in-cylinder. Now, the last time I did my in-cylinder, my thing from Jarhead Diagnostics, which is where this setup came from, this thing developed a hole in it. So I have to go get a new stainless steel hose made for this thing. Now, if you're new to doing in-sills, you have to use a stainless steel braided or a metal pipe, small metal pipe. This will distort, the stainless won't distort and the metal pipes won't. But if you have a big old fat, tube in there, you can't really use that to get proper waveforms. I've got a bunch of like 3-foot leads. I've got some 10-foot leads for the scope. Some other jumper wires, and these are really what you're wanting. You want to be able to back probe or stack them. All right, Jarhead or Joe's Auto Electric will be able to make you all this stuff. There's a clamp on for doing secondary ignition on wires, plug wires. There's a bunch of extra leads there and there. So that's that drawer. I am going to try to redo this. All right, I got some fluke leads for meters. There's low amp and high amp inductive pickups. Here's coil on plug for secondary ignition. These are Joe's Auto Electric piezo sensors for doing noise, NVH. And I have a Pico paddle in there for doing secondary pickup. There's my adapters for the secondary, or the, what do you call that thing? Insill. 1 meter. I got some power probe attachments for, I don't even have a power probe. I got a super Chinese one. We got some fuse pickups, so you can try to clamp on and do some of that stuff. I've got a low amp test, 200 milliamp bulb. I got like a 4 amp halogen tester. These are both from Jarhead. My homemade one before I actually spent money on some stuff. Ignition pickup, circuit board stuff, which I said I don't really want to get into. And this is a short finder that's made for making noise, so you don't have to like keep on blowing fuses, right? This is a VA sensor. This is really good for doing, this is just pulse, okay? So it doesn't give you a reading, it just gives you a visual. So you can see like intake pulses, exhaust pulses, crankcase. You can tie these things in. There's another probe somewhere right here for tying it into the exhaust, that guy. So you can clip that thing on there. Temp gun. I just picked this up off the Matco guy. This fuse savers. Open that guy up. So fuse savers. I thought that it might just be kind of nice to have that. This thing. Dude, I hate this thing so much. I got this when Scanner Danner was using it. This thing sucks, dude. It's a relay control box, right? Well, the problem is the freaking bases are so wide, it only fits in like 1/3 of the fuse panels you're trying to put them in. So then you have to grind them down to make them fit where they need to go, hot glue them in because like the bottoms will fall out. Dude, there's so much better options. Look, the 4-pin, like what the heck, dude? So there's another option for doing relay control, and do not buy this one, all right? I got a thermal image camera that is out on top of my desk right now. I got a really cool 2-channel Chinese scope. It's pretty wicked. It's really nice for doing quick captures. Noid light kit. All right. This is all the crappy stuff I keep out of the junk cars that I get rid of. Some wiring stuff, some chargers. This is a really nice not power probe from Innova. It's pretty good, but the attachments are different. So I was actually thinking about replacing it with a power probe and maybe giving this one, this tool of mass destruction to my apprentice. But then I have to fix a bunch of stuff he burns up. So I don't know if I want to give it to him or not. But these are really nice. If you don't have these, you really need to get some of these. These things are really cheap. Really nice. What is it? 20, 30 feet, 30-foot retractable leads. Really good thing to have. There's a brake fluid pen that doesn't belong there. Give that to my new guy. An off-brand breakout box for the OBD port. Anything else in here? These guys, man. This thing right here, this snap-on set, this thing will cut wire. My first set was defective, and you couldn't cut in here or up here. And the reason I like these is that they're small. The tooth is at the front. So this is really nice. This works really well. Fingernail polish for sealing up pierced wires. You need to get some of that. Relay puller. There's a spark tester. Checking the power of your ignition. So you should get one of those. Some things I need to get still are going to be... I need to get the leads that go between the coil and plug and the spark plug. And then get the coil on so I can check secondary ignition on some of those that have like a shielded, coil top. So I do want to get that. This is a really, really nice test lead kit from AES Wave. Highly suggest this kit. It is worth every penny, let me tell you. No part number on this guy, but you go to AES Wave and get one. There's a kind of a crappy thermal or camera that you have to use your phone on. I mean, it works, but it's so awkward, man. I just want standalone tools at this point. This guy, the PP Draw, this is awesome. It's a battery saver and it's a battery draw monitor. You can Bluetooth to your phone to it, set it up overnight, leave a charger on both of them in case you have a pretty significant draw, and then you can download the CSV file and you can go through like all the hours time to be able to find out what exactly you got. There's your AES Wave kit, that part number. I bought this short finder from Power Probe. I tried using it once and I didn't really like it, but it's probably user error pretty much. But the short finder, I've seen guys use it on YouTube and it works really well for them. It wasn't working for me. Now what I would like to do is maybe create a fault and then test it myself and kind of go from there. There's a random lead stuck in the back of the toolbox. Now, this fuse monitor, this is really cool. Power Probe has some meters, I think, that have the voltage drop calculation burned into the test leads. I'm sorry, burned into the meter. And this one, you don't need that. I can tell you without a doubt that this is accurate as can be when you're doing voltage drop testing for power draw, for a parasitic draw. What I will say is that this tool and this tool, because you can see if you're pulling 250 milliamps on this screen and you go across and all of it's going through one fuse, I had an intermittent draw that would spike. There's a delay on one of these tools. Which one it is, I couldn't tell you. Just know that it's not 100% reading like as found. And then we have some leads down here, some extra bags for extra junk, and then my 4-channel mix sig. So that's like the Diag stuff, I guess. Let's show you some of this. We're at 28 minutes, dude. We'll call that one. I don't want to keep you guys on too long, but that's what the crap I got in that one. Now, I need to learn how to use all that stuff better than what I am. So we'll show you the hand tools and the rest of the shop equipment later. So thanks for calling me out. Whoever you are, I forget your name. But I appreciate it. This channel is meant to be kept real, and that's not who I want to be, right? So thank you for that. All right, guys, remarks complete.